think all Magic players can agree that free spells are the best spells. Even through reductions, there are many Magic the Gathering cards that can be cast for less than the printed amount on the card. And in today's video, we're going to be going over said reduction of cards through Affinity for artifacts. One of the most powerful mechanics ever made in Magic's history. We see it return time and time again in sometimes fixed methods and sometimes just the most laziest ways. And Affinity and artifacts and robots in general just continue to take over Pauper, Modern, and Legacy, which are the three formats that we're going to be taking a look at today. If you want to see more videos like this, then leave a like down below and let me know what mechanics you want to see in the future. And as we've been seeing with the YouTube algorithm more recently, we can start to see how ad blocked views and certain things just aren't getting viewed, especially through restricted mode on YouTube. I highly recommend y'all turn that off. It's now more important than ever for you to leave a like, comment below, and just give me that time if you feel like I deserve it. Before getting into the actual deck list, we have to define what it means to play an Affinity deck. What are the key notes of the cards that you're going to see in general, whether it be card draw or its threat types, and how do we go about said plans? And then we can kind of apply that to see the three formats where Affinity is shining right now. Now, first of all, you got to go with the namesake cards themselves, Affinity for artifacts. Now, Affinity has been called such because the default has been Affinity for artifacts. Nowadays, we have different things such as Affinity for food, Affinity for enchantments, Affinity for your mom. We have so many different ways to make things cost less and enablers out there. So Myr Enforcer being a classic Affinity card, a 4/4 functionally 0 once you're able to enable it. After that, you're going to have cheap and or free mana, Mox Opal being the other cornerstone of many Affinity strategies, especially in the older formats. But when it comes to Mox Opal, you have to remember that this is, of course, a legendary artifact. You're not going to be able to get out multiples. So a lot of times, if you do have multiples in hand, you want to take advantage of cast triggers or take advantage of the mana from the previous ones. And that's going to come into importance once we look at some of the deck lists in Modern and Legacy. Next up, we have something like Thoughtcast being that cheap draw engine. 1 mana draw 2 is a really great rate, especially in more recent times. Thanks to Modern Horizons, we have the ability to have 2 of these cards, the rule of 8 being a very common rule when it comes to deck lists and brewing, where once you have 8 of a certain strategy, you can make it relatively consistent. We see that in my experience with Ruin Crab and Hedron Crab. More so in the Affinity variant, we have Thoughtcast and Thought Monitor, allowing you to be 8 casts in general. 1 mana, ability to draw 2 cards. Drawing and continuing your train is very important as a deck that generally so struggles to draw cards and wants to set up these big explosive turns, so it needs a critical density of cards. Not a type of deck that you really want to be mulliganing down to 4, if you know what I mean. Finally, you need some type of threat at the top end. Of course, when it comes to the lower power formats, and even that I'm saying loosely, so if you're able to play Affinity and succeed with it, it generally is a high power format because Affinity is generally considered to be a relatively busted mechanic. You're going to have something like Kappa Cannoneer. Now, Myr Enforcer can act as this. You can go with a critical mass of wide board, or you can just go top heavy in something like Kappa Cannoneer, which is functionally, thanks to Improvise, a 1 mana 4/4. When it enters, it becomes a 5/5. And then as you continue to cast more artifacts, hence why I was talking about the Mox Opal triggers, as well as another card that we're going to talk about, the Kappa Cannoneer is going to continue to grow. The key part to this, it's functionally like non-interactable. You cannot, generally speaking, remove this threat. The amount of board wipes that exist in the Modern format are very few and far in between. A lot of creature strategies exist, whether it be blink-based mid-range, Boros Energy, Reanimator. You're generally not looking to remove not only your opponent's board, but your own board, to be honest. So something like Kappa Cannoneer really does get away from the fact that the format is generally not playing Supreme Verdicts, Damnations, Modern, Legacy, all that stuff. We're not playing that removal. So having word 4, as well as being unblockable most of the time, when an artifact enters, this threat is going to be able to get in and hit strong. And notably, this is when an artifact enters, right? So whenever this creature or another artifact, it doesn't have to be cast. So when you're thinking of Urza Saga generating a token, that is an artifact entering, making this unblockable. So you can start to imagine the many ways that a card like this can be relatively powerful in that Modern Legacy sense. So let's hop into our first format. It's going to be the Pauper format, and one where we see Affinity shining for a very long time. I've been playing Pauper since 2018 on status. We're almost at a decade of me playing Pauper, and I've been playing Affinity since the beginning. Now, Affinity has been a successful mechanic in the Pauper format for a very long time. One of the key pieces of Pauper that drew people's attention is it's one of the few accessible formats, if not the only accessible format, where the artifact lands are available for you to use at a high density. Especially now with the tapped artifact duels, Affinity has seen renaissance periods over and over again, and then seen bans and come in and out. Right now, I feel like Affinity is actually in a really good spot. It may not be the best deck in the format, but it is one of the best decks because of its ability to grind out, find value, and interact with you at all points. It's able to interact with your hand, it's able to recur cards from the graveyard, while also drawing cards really, really well to keep up the pressure. Because of all of those things over time, Affinity has been seeing a lot of bans in the Pauper format. If you take a look at the Pauper ban list, you have cards like All That Glitters, arguably Arkham's Astrolabe, Atog for sure. You have something like Cranial Plating, Cranial Ram. Part of the Deadly Dispute was partly an Affinity as well. Disciple of the Vault was one era of Affinity as well. I don't need to go over these cards. You can feel free to look into them, but all of these cards, generally so, were banned, if not in part, solely due to the Affinity deck in Pauper. It's been popular for a very long time. They refuse to completely remove it. They just want to manage it, which I personally believe is a good thing, but that might be more so a biased view of things as someone who's been playing Affinity, as I mentioned, for a very long time. Now, when it comes to the Grixis Affinity list in Pauper, it hasn't been Grixis the whole time. There has been times in earlier versions of Affinity where you are looking at something that is more so 4 to 5 colors, especially in the Atog era, you were looking at deck lists that were 4 to 5 colors. Then you went into an evolution where it was like 2, maybe 3 colors with Disciple of the Vault, and then even with All That Glitters, it was largely a 2, 3x, like 2x color type of deck. And now over time, even throughout the various metas, it has established itself to be Grixis. You are looking at removal spells and control through Galvanic Blast and Krark-Clan Shaman that can bring on the aggro. You're looking at card draw and interaction through Blue Elemental Blast and the aforementioned Thoughtcast. And then the black portion of it not only is interaction and threats in Refurbished Familiar, but in the Pauper format, you are taking a look at stuff like Reckoner's Bargains, cards that, you know, generally they cast for 2, it's black and 1, they sacrifice a creature or an artifact, and you draw 2 cards plus something. Deadly Dispute was the notable one that's banned because it was draw 2 cards plus make a treasure, which is absolutely insane. Not only does that treasure give you access to any color, but it acts as an artifact as well. Now you don't have that anymore, and you're having to deal with the less powerful, still good versions of Reckoner's Bargains, and the one that like makes a map token and all that stuff. You also have things like Fanatical Offering, which is another variant of this, and you might play something like Toxin Analysis, which is a little bit of a deeper interaction, giving something Death Touch alongside Krark-Clan Shaman. But regardless, this deck looks to do everything. That's the key to Grixis Affinity. With everything that I just mentioned, not only are you playing, you know, the tapped artifact duels, you are also playing things like Great Furnace, which is the untapped monocolored artifact lands. But then you're playing recursive pieces such as Blood Fountain, which enters as 2 artifacts, but also can sacrifice to bring creatures back from your graveyard. You're playing mainboard Graveyard Hate and the Nihil Spellbomb, but of course this is Pauper. You do not have things like Urza Saga to find said artifacts. Because of that, you're playing a critical density of Thoughtcast, Reckoner's Bargain, Fanatical Offering, cards that just draw cards. Heck, even Refurbished Familiar technically counts because it gets your opponent to discard a card. If they can't, you draw a card. That happens a non-zero amount of times, especially if you're grinding out your opponents and they're using interaction and you are recurring your threats to Blood Fountain over and over again. Refurbished Familiar is eventually going to start coming down as a 1-mana 2/1 with flying that also draws you a card, which is an absolutely insane rate for a Magic card. On top of that, you have the Myr Enforcer, as mentioned, but you also have like random one-ofs like Kenku Artificer, which is relatively powerful as a card to recur, even as a 1/1 that might disappear through Blood Fountain, but also to make your indestructible artifact lands indestructible 3/3 flyers, which can get over top of certain things, or just chump block really well into 5/5s or 5/6s in those serpents. So Affinity overall in Pauper, highly interactive, draws really well, and tries to do everything. It wants to answer every angle, which is why it's playing the 3 colors, the 3 best colors in this format, arguably. And it's able to do everything, maybe not to the best of its ability, but it's able to do it relatively well. And when it comes to a Magic deck in general, if you're able to do that within your colors, you're probably doing something really great. All decks in the Pauper format have some type of sideboard answer to Affinity in the variance of 3 to 4 cards, bare minimum. And so if every deck has been trying to answer Affinity for a very long time, then you know the deck is doing something really well. Pauper Affinity gameplay at the end. Next up, we're going to talk about modern Affinity. Now, the modern metagame is really just kind of a different beast altogether. Affinity has come in and out of the metagame, and we've obviously seen a big resurgence in the last year, almost year, because of the unbanning of Mox Opal. Now, we've seen a little bit of play of soft Affinity variants without Mox Opal, but really in the older formats, they're just too fast and efficient for this archetype to work without Mox Opal. So we saw the unbanning of Mox Opal in December 2024, but with that, we have to understand that there are really good ways to deal with artifacts in the modern format. You're thinking Meltdowns, Wrath of Skies. There's really good ways to deal with cheap artifacts. And so with that, you're having to see the power of a new card from Edge of Eternities really push Affinity up to the top, making it actually more recently a top decking deck in Modern. If you ask me, is Affinity good? Maybe like 3 months ago? Probably wouldn't have said yes. 3-4 months ago, probably wouldn't have. But now, again, with Edge of Eternities, we see some new sauce taking advantage of the old pillars of Affinity and making new waves. So if we take a look at deck list here, let's go through the basics. So you have, generally speaking, some amount of artifact lands and ways to make artifacts. So Darksteel Citadel is largely artifact land. You don't have the Great Furnaces or the Seed of Synods, banned in Modern, rightfully so, but you are playing Izzet, so you have ways to make blue and red alongside Urza Saga. That is your power piece in these older formats that have the Modern Horizons sets legal in. You have Thoughtcast, and as I mentioned, the Rule of 8, you have Thought Monitor as well, so you are decent at drawing cards. I would say you're relatively good. You still need to find these cards, but again, 1 mana draw 2, once you're able to play a critical mass of artifacts, is pretty dang good. On top of that, you're playing a lot of zeros. You're playing Memnites, Ornithopters, a lot of free cards, and even Ornithopter doesn't even swing in for anything. You're playing Mishra's Bauble, Mox Opal as a 0, and then everything else is like some level of like a 1 or a 2. The 1s and 0s can obviously be tutored by Urza Saga on its final form. So you have Springleaf Drum, which can generate more mana, Shadow Spear as a way to remove Indestructible for things, which is surprisingly relevant actually, and Hexproof as well, notably. Equip for 2 Lava Spur Boots to give your creatures and or your Urza Saga tokens haste. Tormod's Crypt for some graveyard removal. You got the whole package alongside Cranial Plating. You're playing a critical mass of zeros and cheap artifacts. You'd imagine Cranial Plating is really good. That all makes sense. These are things in Modern Affinity, especially as a long-term Affinity player, that makes sense to me. These are common cards. The 2 cards that I'm going to point out specifically, without even going into Metallic Rebuke, it's a 1 mana mana league. Folks, it's Affinity's mana league. That's all I need to say about it. First one is going to be Kappa Cannoneer. Printed in Modern Horizons into the formats here, into the Modern format. Originally, this was a commander card, to my knowledge. It was printed in a Legacy format, made huge waves, because again, in a 1v1 60 card constructed format, this is functionally uninteractable with. In formats that are highly efficient, like just kind of games go super quick. If you're not playing against control, you're likely not having to deal with like Damnations or Supreme Verdicts, as mentioned. Kappa Cannoneer having word 4 and unblockable, you are not interacting with this. This is a 1 mana 5/5 4/4, and it enters as a 5/5. You're then continuing to make it unblockable. It's great, especially with a bunch of zeros. You can go land, poop out a bunch of things, and then play a Kappa Cannoneer. Although that is pretty hard because you do need a land plus 5 other artifacts plus the Kappa Cannoneer. That is a 7-card hand. How do we make that even easier? We have the new Pinnacle Emissary from Edge of Eternities. It allows you to cast it for 1, and then at the end of turn, if you were to warp it in for that 1 cost, it goes into exile, and then you can cast it at a later time. But the key is, because you can cast it for 1, you can then, it then says whenever you cast an artifact spell, not play, so you're not going to trigger this off of Darksteel Citadel like you would with Kappa Cannoneer. So Pinnacle Emissary does care about casting an artifact. Create a 1/1 colorless drone artifact creature token with flying. So not only is it an artifact to count towards your other affinity costs, as well as making Kappa Cannoneer even cheaper with Improvise, but it also is flying in the air, is evasive. Now, notably, it can only block creatures with flying, which is fine because then it can chump block Quantum Riddlers, it can chump block Urza Saga, not Urza Saga, sorry, I don't know why I'm thinking about that, but it can top deck and block not only the Riddlers, but it can also block flyers like Murktide Regent, Psychic Frog. Sorry, I was like kind of brain farting there for a little bit. So it can chump block. It's not bad. But then also, you play Pinnacle Emissary, you play a bunch of zeros, you poop out a whole board, maybe on turn 1, and your opponent's like, huh, they have like 4 1/1s in the air with flying, I'm gonna be taking 4 damage a turn. They have a Kappa Cannoneer, or at least 4 damage a turn isn't that bad. They untap, all of a sudden they play a Thought Monitor. Oh, they draw 2 more cards. They play a land, they play Thoughtcast, they draw 2 more cards. Oh, they just have like a full hand again. They have like a full board for free, and then all of a sudden after that, you're playing Kappa Cannoneers. You might have an Urza Saga going, all that type of stuff. Alongside that, you probably have a Mox Opal somewhere in there, so you have even more mana. And so this deck gets really crazy, as you're going to see in the games, where you can poop out this insane board. If you have the patience and you set it up right, you have these explosive turns where you can play a bunch of free stuff, draw a bunch of cards, you set up this board. It has a crap ton of resiliency based on what's going on in the modern format that has generally a lot more single target interaction. If you're able to build out a wide board and play out something that is functionally uninteractable, it's just really hard for your opponent to do anything about that. So Modern Affinity really just cornerstone by Pinnacle Emissary and Kappa Cannoneer. At the low end, you have Pinnacle Emissary. At the top end, you have Kappa Cannoneer. It's really a complete package, in my opinion. If your opponent doesn't have the early interaction in something like, you know, Hurkyl's Recall, which isn't even that common right now, you will see the odd you know, activated abilities of artifacts can't be activated in Stony Silence. In Legacy, you might see Null Rod, maybe not as relevant against that, but that's a whole different discussion. But you have all these effects that can happen, but they're generally like 2 cost. Wrath of Skies is a 2 mana spell. Like if you're able to do this all on one and you're on the play, your opponent might be a little too late when it comes to answering this. Finally, let's look at the Legacy metagame. So Legacy is like completely different here, where Affinity isn't actually that popular. Why is that? Well, the top deck in the format right now is Dimir Reanimator. Dimir Tempo, arguably close. They are different decks. Reanimator obviously goes to the Reanimate angle. Tempo, you are looking at a mid-range plan and a soft control plan, but you're not bringing back Atraxas. That's the key, okay? Dimir Reanimator and Dimir Tempo have one key card in them. They have Orcish Bowmasters. Modern doesn't play Orcish Bowmasters to that degree because Modern is not a brainstorm format. Modern is not a format where you are continuously drawing a lot of cards. Modern is a format where you are doing powerful things with your cards on board. Every card does like 2 to 3 things. Think of Ragavan and something like, not even thing. If I go back, I'm forgetting the name, but not even Ocelot Pride, but just other stuff. Like cards do everything in the modern format. You're not looking to draw into powerful things. Every card has to be individually powerful. In the Legacy format, you have the efficiency and the control to be able to find your super powerful individual pieces. So you look for things like Brainstorm and Forcible to protect that. So Orcish Bowmasters is a card that stops you from drawing. One of the key hallmarks of Affinity, as I mentioned, is card draw. You have seen it in every version that we've talked about up until now, and surprise, surprise, that is a consistent theme in Legacy. It is known as 8 cast because you're playing 4 Thought Monitor and 4 Thought Cast. 8 cast in a deck that wants to draw a bunch of cards, Orcish Bowmasters is going to be really powerful. In general, if Orcish Bowmasters is popular, then you're going to suffer a little bit up against the top deck in the format, almost 20%, 1/5 of the format being, if not 25% of the format being Dimir in some fashion. You will be dealing with Orcish Bowmasters. So that is the one big caveat. On top of that, you have not only other combo decks, but just other mid-range I win button decks as well, something like Painter, where they have control elements, they have ways to interact with you, but then have an instant I win button in maybe the Painter's combo, in the Nadu combo. Oops, I'll Spell is just a full combo deck with a bunch of interaction and doesn't care about how many drone tokens you make. It will just win when they untap anyway. So Legacy is a highly powerful format. With that, in Legacy 8 cast, you are looking to take advantage of things like Forcible. So baseline, you are playing a blue deck, you have to be playing Forcible. That is your ask. If you play the blue deck, you have to play the interaction. You don't have the slots for days, which is fine because you aren't playing too many islands anyway. You're playing a lot of blue-based you're playing a lot of blue-based threats. Blue-based options, so you can play Volcanic Island and everything, but you're not returning Seed of Synod with days and all that, Otawara with days, so you can't play that. You're playing Ancient Tomb as well to speed things up. This version is Affinity, specifically, we are still using Kappa Cannoneer to a certain degree. Notably, some lists will actually not be playing Kappa Cannoneer. I personally prefer the versions with, but I can see why you're not. On top of that, you are really taking advantage of Pinnacle Emissary and likely Emery. So you're playing a bunch of zeros in your Mishra's Baubles, Lotus Petals, which you now get access to in the Legacy format. In the Pauper format, you don't have anything to trigger it, even though you can play Lotus Petal. you don't have a reason to trigger it. So the Lotus Petal is such low value add, it's not that important. You're still playing the Mox Opals, Urza's Bauble as an additional 0 that lets you look at the top of your opponent's library. But on top of that, you're looking at another interesting card that's been taking over a lot of formats. We recently did a video on Corey Steelcutter, but imagine playing Corey Steelcutter on 2 into Mox Opal or another one of these 0s, you're going to trigger it, second spell cast, and you're getting in aggressively. So this deck actually looks to add more threats and resilient threats in Corey Steelcutter, because once they resolve, you want to make sure they can dodge removal. Permanent removal isn't the most common thing in the world. Creature removal is. And even once a creature resolves, generally speaking, in the legacy format, if you aren't able to remove it, then the creature can really run away with the game. You're thinking of, again, Barrowgoyfs and stuff like that. Creatures have big oomph impacts in the legacy format, similar to what Kappa Cannoneer is doing. That's why you're not playing it as a full playset. Arguably, if Orcish Bowmasters wasn't that popular in the legacy format, you would probably be playing more Kappa Cannoneers. Like, or 8 cast would be a very good deck, in my opinion. Maybe not top 10, but it would definitely be at least a tier 1.5 to 2 deck if Orcish Bowmasters wasn't in the format. And with a bunch of those and drawing a bunch of cards, it would then become Kappa Cannoneer would be a 4 of. You'd probably drop the Corey Steelcutters and go all in on Force of Wills and everything. You have a lot of blue spells to pitch to your Force of Wills. Emery, Lurker of Lock allows you to recast your Kappa Cannoneers, your Pinnacle Emissaries, like all your artifacts. It even allows you to recast Corey Steelcutter. So this deck opts to use resiliency and a lot of the same things that you're seeing in the other affinity lists, but you're having to pay the Force of Will tax. You can't go all in on the days, but you have to have enough threats to be able to get around the removal and interaction that exists in Legacy. You have to present a type of unbeatable win, and that is your Kappa Cannoneer, but you're still playing a really slow game. 8 cast right now has a lot of variance. There's a couple different builds of 8 cast, but generally the shell is the same. As I mentioned, you might not be playing Kappa Cannoneer. You might not even be playing Corey Steelcutter, which is a little insane to me. But regardless, you are playing Pinnacle Emissary. It seems to be the best thing to be doing in the formats where Pinnacle Emissary is legal. So for now, let's hop into the games themselves. You got a good summary of what's going on with Affinity in all formats. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and maybe make some predictions before you hop into the games, how you think those games are going to go. But let's hop into some Pauper first, then some Modern and some Legacy to showcase what Robots is doing in Magic. Grixis Affinity on the play. This is so close to being something good. I feel like I almost have to keep it, but no. I think we can be a little bit faster. See, this one I hate even more. All right, whatever. We'll keep this and drop. Oh, I seen your YouTube channel. Cheers to you too. Good luck. Have fun. All right. Let's keep this. We'll drop a Galvanic Blast and then play Drossforge Bridge. We can play the Chromatic Star. And then it's something. Ooh. Got stuff and things happening right now. Stuff and things happening right now. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's still not fully reduced. Only by 3. Ooh, what? Okay. Got some potentially random affinity nonsense happening on that side as well. I don't want to like get got just yet here. I'm gonna try and just interact with whatever the heck that is. This is a pretty good opening to do so I'm going to do that right now. Yes, I have 3 artifacts and this would be 4 damage to the face, but very weird. Like in Magic, whenever you see like 1 mana 1/1s, they're usually pretty vital. If not developing mana, they are in some way, shape, or form going to come at you. Okay, 1 or less. They're, oh, Viridian Longbow. All right. Okay, that's why we have the Death Touch. We're just gonna board clear everything. Fair enough. Do that, yeah. So you can do this trick where the cost is reduced, even though the artifact leaves, the cost is reduced because we sacrifice the artifact as part of our like casting and everything. Okay, that's not bad. So what I will do is actually just play out the Mistvault Bridge and pass. That'll allow me to go Vault of Whispers and go Thoughtcast again after. We're just setting up. We're drawing cards, trying to find our threats. We're trying to do tricky things here. and Reckoner's Bargain is in our way. We're gonna go to just so we have our whole list available. Okay, yeah, I mean it's pretty standard. There's board wipes, stuff and things similar to what I've played before. Nothing too insane. We're at end step. Again, opponent tutored for a Viridian Longbow, which is gonna be relevant. That is going to be relevant. Okay, like that with Death Touch is going to be relevant. Come at us for 2, potentially hold up Counterspell or like a Spell Pierce or something of that nature. We're gonna hard cast a Thoughtcast. We will then play Blood Fountain. All right. We'll pass from there. So we have a ton of artifacts. We're really just hoping to draw into threats at this point while simultaneously controlling their board. Play this at this point, right? So Foretold. Oh, we have a Foretold card. Okay, I feel like I know what that is. We're going to Reckoner's Bargain now. Drop the blood token. We're not getting any life, but still, we're drawing 2 cards. That's what's important here. I probably should have just done this at end step, but oh well. Oh well. Still drawing 2 cards. If this was burn, Reckoner's Bargain obviously could be life gain. You want to sack like a Myr Enforcer. You could return it with Blood Fountain. Y'all understand the cycles in that part. Okay, so it'd be nice if we could draw some of our threats. That would be a beautiful thing. We have a whole package of threats, and speaking of, I was gonna say, I feel like they're all at the bottom or whatever. So let's draw 2 cards here. Okay, there you go. So let's go, what do I want to do actually? So we're gonna go Refurbished Familiar first. Right? Get them to start discarding cards. Dark Ritual, okay. Interesting. I think we want to hold up removal in this case. Right? We're going to do that. I'm actually going to play the Seat. Okay, I'm going to play the Seat, play Candy Trail to scry. I think we want to start applying pressure. Once I Galvanic Blast, you know, they might like Viridian Longbow and try and start again controlling my board. But my board is just better off. I'm just gonna put both those on the bottom. Like instead of casting Ichor, like if I had the Reckoner's Bargain or something to sacrifice that too, then I'd be open to keeping it. Because heck, even a Krark-Clan Shaman like really does numbers on this board. Sure, yeah, it really does numbers on this board. Because nothing is flying. So if I had that, it's just better that I don't cast that for 2 mana to draw a card. And just find the thing I need to draw. Oh yeah, play into the removal. Play into the removal. Hold on. Okay, you can scry 2 and draw 2. This thing has equipped for 3. Oh baby. Yep. Don't want to play into it. I see you. Okay. So we're gonna go block. Trinket Mage, go to your main, and then we're gonna actually destroy this. Because you committed to the Viridian Longbow, I'm going to destroy that. Now you have no threats, which is important. Okay, we found the Ichor Wellspring anyway, I guess. We'll do this. We might as well bring both of these back. We're gonna hold up the red. We're gonna continue to hold up the red. Yep. Do we continue to hold up red, or we just Blood Fountain again? Actually, it might be better to Nihil Spellbomb. I'm wondering if there is some level of recursion happening, just because, you know, we're in Pauper, we're in black. This is a brew. We're not in the leagues. You know, this isn't going to be some type of medalist where we can rely on certain actions happening. So, you know, even if we aren't able to draw cards, some type of Nihil Spellbomb nonsense could be good. What are we doing all this for? Ah, interesting. Okay. Got yourself the Monarchy. Okay. I see what we're doing. I understand generally what we're doing here. Okay, I understand. So we're gonna go do this. Do this. You just freaking discard everything. We're gonna go Ichor Wellspring, spread us out a little bit. I was gonna say just in case we draw a Thoughtcast, but okay. I'm gonna pass the turn. So opponent's gonna have Death Touch here. Using Longbow to control my board, eh? Interesting moves. They're not finding the lands, but I mean, we are drawing more cards on average. Like, we've just gone deeper through our deck. Sure. I mean, they don't know we have the other Blood Fountain, but we have a Blood Fountain. It's just gonna suck because I'm trying to take this Monarchy from them, and it's just so annoying. Trying to take this Monarchy from them. I had to use all my Galvanic Blast for the sake of control. Okay, pass right through. It's gonna be 2 in the air. They're gonna draw a card here, but we are gonna be able to get something going in terms of interacting with them and drawing a card. Because the beautiful thing about Refurbished Familiar is if they cannot discard a card, we draw a card. Okay, that is amazing. We're gonna play that. We're gonna play a Blood Fountain. That'll be a pretty good target for them to thing here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are going to just get them to straight discard cards. It's gonna be important here. Yep, seems like a great target to hit. Now we draw a card. Fantastic. And then we just pass right through the turn. So they're going to get the Monarchy for 1 more turn. And then that's going to be about it. We're going to swing it in the air. And we're going to get what we need. So they have 1 card, hoping these top decks aren't too great for us. But being able to recur our Refurbished Familiars is extremely powerful. They're going to be able to deal 1 damage to our Myr Enforcer to remove that off the board. Sure. But then we take the Monarchy from them, which is fantastic. I love that. Great Furnace for sure. Go to combat attack. Yep. Then we're gonna go Fanatical Offering on the Wellspring. Draw ourselves a Kenku Artificer. Kenku's actually so good here because now we have an indestructible. Kenku's actually so good because now we have an indestructible 3/3 flyer. So the Death Touch is not going to work. We're going to Blood Fountain as well. Yeah, unfortunately, the opponent's getting outvalued at this point. This is the true power of Affinity really coming through. Like in the long game, you are just not going to be able to, sauce me here. You are not going to be able to sauce me. You're playing blue or black, generally speaking, especially in the main board. You really only have destroy effects. Now in the post board, that doesn't mean that there aren't any -1, -1, -2, -2 type of effects that could potentially kind of answer the Mistvault Bridge. Multiples of those. It is a 3/3. Again, usually those type of effects are -1, -1, at most -2, -2. Specifically, you're probably picking like a type or whatever. And so, or like they cost more or whatever. And yeah, no, I think opponent has been outvalued. So we're going to go to sideboards. So some type of like hard control list. Really interesting. Let me see here. I don't know if like, I think if we drop one of these, that's fine. They have some blue. So I'm wondering if like red Elemental Blast is good. I just can't imagine much else. Kenku's going to be really good. We're going to drop 2 Fanaticals, actually 2 Nihils in general. So keep a Fanatical Offering. Actually, probably the Toxin Analysis in general isn't that useful. But let's keep both the Fanaticals and just bring in red Elemental Blasts. And then just call it there. It doesn't look like there's any graveyard shenanigans. Krark-Clan Shaman still has like a level of value. The problem is now if I remove the Toxin Analysis, it's not dealing with the whole board, and then therein lies my problem. But I'm gonna bring in some tempo. So, you know, one Metallic Rebuke I think is fine, especially if we're able to get them early. But they were stuck on mana. I don't want them to think that this is I want them to think that I'm only bringing that in because they couldn't find lands. But I think this is okay. We can start off on Silverbluff Bridge just to get our blue out, then go Vault of Whispers, Ichor Wellspring. Yeah, Vault, or I could do that actually. Yeah, so I could do this, and then I could do Drossforge Bridge, Blood Fountain, and then I have like pretty much everything set up, and then like all the artifacts in the world. Let's see here. I kind of sense something here. Get out of here. I'm resolving this. Get out of here. Get out of here. This is resolving. You're not... It's clear you want to control my board. Opponent says, wow? What do you mean? I have to bring this in. I have to bring this in. I have to be ready. I sense something. I sense something. Blue mana pass? Come on now. Oh, I wish I had some level of reanimation. Because they're putting Troll of Khazad-dûm in there, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, is the Nihil Spellbomb like that important? Okay, so you have a little thing now. So we're gonna do this. Draw 2. We're gonna go Drossforge Bridge. We're gonna go Refurbished Familiar. Only 6, unfortunate, but that's okay. That's a-okay. Gonna have to discard a card. Unfortunately, I'm unable to play that. I'm unable to play that. Next turn, though. Next turn. A lot of black, not a lot of blue, but they tapped out to foretell. Okay. What do they do, actually? Do they go, like, to the bottom? One top, one bottom. Okay, maybe a removal spell. One top, one bottom. Playing some type of, like, hard control list here with creatures, which is interesting. Let's do this. Probably should have done this first before, but... oh well. Yeah, see, I could have drawn more cards this turn, but that's whatever. It's not the most important thing in the world. Let's get you to discard a card first. Yep. Negate. Could have played around it. Okay, so if they have Defile, they only have 3 swamps, so they're not dealing with that. And then if they were to play a threat, I can Galvanic Blast it. Okay, Lorien Revealed gives you another island. Okay, so what? You can hard cast Lorien of the Lorien Revealed, Lorien of the. Okay. Okay. Yep. Tidehall Strix. I think it's gonna be important if Spell Pierce is what I have to play around. They did discard a negate. Spell Pierce is what I have to play around. Oh, we are tapping out of our blue. That is not what we want to be doing. I mean, this is what happens, right? Like you just taking advantage of a brew. That's all that's happening here. Yeah, unfortunately, we're just taking advantage of a brew, but goes to show you what Affinity is doing. It has a little bit of recursion. It wants to set up a board, and then it really starts to sing with the amount of cards that we're drawing every turn. We're able to recur our threats. Let's hop into the next one. Playing some modern Affinity. Opponent mulligans. Do we have a fast start? I can go Otawara, Mishra's Bauble, Shadow Spear. Turn after that, I go Lava Spur Boots. Is this fast enough? Like I'm on the draw. That could be something. I'll try it. It's like a medium hand. It's okay. It's not the insane hand at all, right? Like you don't have the. Ooh, what are we up against here? Metallic Rebuke. Okay, well we're going to cast Lava Spur Boots. and then pass. Wish we had a Mox Opal, but that's kind of what I was thinking. I'm like, I go to a Mox Opal hand, because even if we do, right? Where is it Affinity? There's like a lot of zeros, right? Because you want to play to the Pinnacle Emissary, but let's see. Yeah, I figured it'd be some type of removal for the 1-drop. Be something. Which bless? Are we taking the 3 or what? What are we doing? Okay, we're not. Good to know. Okay. Let's do this, and I think we're just supposed to draw. Oh, I'm dumb. Okay, now they know we have it, but whatever. Forgetting that this is not a thing. Okay. Metallic Rebuke for anything they want to play here, which is great. And turn after. I can go about that. Nope. Get out of here. What do you on about? Undo Quantum Riddler. Yeah. Get out of here. You're not drawing any cards. You're not drawing any cards. It's my turn to draw. Swamp. Thoughtseize? Okay, this isn't getting countered, but this is Esper. Ooh. I've been holding this Mishra's Bauble so I can cast Thoughtcast like this whole damn time. I really don't even want to like, yeah, I think like Kappa Cannoneer is going to be so key to this. Yeah, I think Kappa Cannoneer is going to be so key to this that I almost can't. Like, I'm setting up for something so big in an attempt to do something so big, you know? Sure. Sure. I have 1 basic. All right, good. I have 1 basic. Gotta be ready. Gotta be ready. Yep. Gotta be ready. Bring it in tops. Sure. Let's play this. Let's Pinnacle Emissary with Warp. Yep. Let's cast Ornithopter. Yep. Right. Bring that in. Let's cast Kappa Cannoneer to pay 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, undo. Hold on. I can save my mana. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I can save my mana here. Thought I needed 1 more, but oh, I guess I need anyway. That's fine. Always yield. Kappa Cannoneer comes down, and this becomes pretty much just like an unbeatable threat at this point. So now we're doing the Affinity thing now. This is pod racing right now. This is pure pod racing. A little bit of patience with the Mishra's Bauble ended up like helping pay off. Oh, that's big. Okay, so we lose the Pinnacle Emissary end step, but they are they're eating damage next turn. They are eating damage next turn. This isn't fatal pushable. You haven't lost anything, so you have to hit something else. What did we fatal push? Okay, fair enough. Targeted drone token. Yeah, it's about to go down. Let me tell you something. It's about to go down. It's about to go down. Okay, Riddler Ephemerate. Probably. I mean, at least you're only drawing 2 cards off this whole interaction. Yeah, you're only drawing 2 cards. Oh, actually, no, they cast a card. They are drawing 3 cards. Okay, here I am assuming they won't find a land, so that's fine. You get your 2 cards. Yeah, this is not going to be fun for you. This Kappa Cannoneer is going to be unblockable. And then once I have 2, like, this deck isn't great at taking you from 20 to 0 in 1 turn. That's not what this deck does. Like Esper Blink on their side. But what are we doing here? Yeah, Thoughtseize, take that Kappa Cannoneer. Take that Kappa Cannoneer. Yup. Seems so. Yup. Seems good. Ooh, Thoughtseize bug. Thoughtseize bug. Thoughtseize bug. Oh, yikes. Thoughtseize bug. Let's go. 1. How much is this to equip? 2, 2, 3. Still equip. Play another Kappa Cannoneer. Equip 2 onto this. And then now we're coming in lifelink trample 10-10. You're taking 10, I'm gaining 10. This is unwinnable for you at this point. This is unwinnable for you. This deck doesn't play board wipes. This is unwinnable for you. Even if, like, I don't draw an artifact. Even if I don't draw an artifact, what's the plan? I guess I could have... My mistake was probably here. I should have tapped the Thought Monitor. Because I realized, like, last minute, I'm like, wait, I'm not actually attacking with it because Quantum Riddler is a flyer. Because then I could have saved on tapping the Mishra's Bubble and drawn an extra card, which potentially could have helped me find our artifact or whatever. Okay, but okay, yeah. Okay, opponent just gave up in general. We're gonna keep it. It's a pretty good highlight of what's happening here. You can see, like, with a little bit of patience, if you're able to set up these big explosive turns, Kappa Cannoneer just ends up being this absolutely monstrous threat that you just, opponents have a real hard time getting past. And we kind of saw that in the first game as well, right? Like, you just have this critical mass of threats once you're able to start taking things out. Once you get into older formats, the threats get better, but in these, and even in Pauper, I guess it's older, you get into a situation where your draw is actually really efficient. You're drawing more cards than your opponent. Like, what are you doing better than your opponent, as we've kind of discussed? But let's hop into Legacy. No matter how many free spells you have, you actually still need lands to cast them. So we're going to mulligan this one. Opponent took a mulligan as well, so that's not bad. We're actually going to keep this. We're going to keep this. We drop Great Furnace. Done. We're actually going to save the Mox Opal as well. Okay. My fear is starting off with Urza Saga and getting wastelanded, but I think that's something we have to accept. So, oh my God. Okay, I think we just have to. I think that's just something we have to accept. Okay. Because the other option is I could do the whole Seed of Synod, Mox Opal, like I could do all that, but just feel like this might be a little bit better depending on what we're up against. This might be a little bit better. We're up against Tamiyo. It could still be Dimir, but we're seeing Flooded Strands. There's no Wasteland. There's that. Oh, okay. Potentially some type of Stifle variant. Oh, Thunder Trap Trainer. Thunder Trap Trainer reveals Force of Will. Okay, fair enough. That helps. Kind of. We're gonna do Ancient Tomb. I think we're gonna create this now. Right, we're gonna create this now. Problem is this Kappa Cannoneer is like not resolving now, so I kind of just don't want to play out everything. I'm gonna wait because I think the Pinnacle Emissary is gonna be pretty big, so I'm gonna hold off on that. I think the Pinnacle Emissary is gonna be pretty big for us, so I'm gonna hold off on that. It would make the construct token bigger, which does matter, but I think we are gonna hold off on that. Should have my freaking deck ready. Y'all can see the order that I'm recording all this in. Go to 8cast. Target is probably freaking Bobble, if I'm going to be honest. Yeah. Probably Bobble. All right. I'm a big fan of affinity lists that have Galvanic Blast. It's a threat. Like I can understand metagames where like it's not completely relevant. They decline to use Ponder's ability, which has to mean something. Swords, yes, okay. Very relevant for them. Yep. Make your thing. Let's draw. You're going to tap 2 to create a thing. We will then use Saga's ability to give us. Maybe cast an artifact, not even play. What doo-doo caca? Let's grab a Mishra's Bauble. Let's play Seed of Synod. Let's cast Pinnacle Emissary. This is a pretty good forcible target. I'm not playing around Daze. They have Daze forcible and they Daze this, like that's pretty good for me. I feel like I'm purposefully not playing around Daze here. Okay. All right. I guess cast. Yep. That's pretty good. Okay. That's a little unfortunate, but that's okay. We're going to cast. And then you have to have exactly blue card. 2, 3, 4, 5. You have to have exactly blue card force. If you have exactly blue card force, not bad. Okay. All right. Flame of Anor it is. Okay. I did my best. I forced them to have it. 2 removal spells plus thing. Like really some type of hard control list. So you can flip the Tameo, which does help kind of, but like the construct is a 7/7. So there is that. That's kind of why I wanted to like go the whole Urza Saga route. Like it just gives me something in the back end to just start attacking with. This thing has flying, which is kind of nice. So again, you can flip the Tameo should you want to. I could just cast this from exile. Can I not? I don't understand. Why can't I cast this from exile? On a later turn. Yeah, why can't I cast this? Blue, red, colorless. Okay. Interesting. Why can't I cast this, but I can cast this? Let's cast that. And then let's cast this to trigger that again. Not sure why I can't cast this, but okay. Okay, draw your card. Yep. We're going to keep this one. Okay. So on their upkeep, I will now see what they're going to draw. Ooh, Force Negation. Hopefully not that relevant. Hopefully not that relevant based on what I draw, but let's see. Not really sure why I can't cast this, but again... Okay, maybe I'm just like clicking in the wrong zone, but able to cast this Pinnacle Emissary. Oh, you know what it is? I'm being dumb. They freaking removed it. Oh my god. Here I am thinking it warped away. All right. Of course, it's in the exile zone. That's why I'm getting confused. But yeah, Swords to Plowshares. Swords to Plowshares. Oh my god. Someone in the comment section is going to be so mad. If you wrote a comment about it, please go back and edit. Please go back and edit. Like... I beg you. I beg you. Yep. Swords the 8/8. I gain 8. Yup. I have a 3/3 now. You can't just willy-nilly attack with the thing. No way. No way. Well, this thing got flying too. All right, whatever. I guess I'm attacking. Yeah, we will draw a card. We'll draw another card. Emery. Ooh. I'll take an Emery. Take an Emery for sure. Okay, opponent just concedes. Okay, I guess they're just like finding nothing. I mean, yo, we were able to take them out of all their control cards. Hull Breacher is probably pretty damn good, not gonna lie. Kappa Cannoneer. Yeah, not really in need of that. Probably not that. Against hard control. Probably just a Pyroblast, if I'm gonna be honest. Probably just a Pyroblast. Actually, the Pithing Needle is not bad. If I wanted to just like knock the freaking Tameo from getting like continuous value, I just knock that. I don't think I'm supposed to bring in Force Negation into it. The sideboard's kind of weak for this matchup. It is. Like, you could play Disruptor Flute. You could play Flute, which isn't bad. Unironically, isn't bad. They're Tameo deck, so there's a world where Hull Breacher like makes sense. This is probably just really bad, but I think Disruptor Flute means something. They are playing Snap too, like unlicensed Hearse. Like actually unlicensed Hearse. Okay, drop one of these. Play an unlicensed Hearse. No. I can't drop one of those. Maybe like a Quarry Steel. It's gotta be Galvanic Blast. Keep the Quarry Steel. Quarry Steel is like a threat that is able to like be pretty efficient. Yeah, unlicensed Hearse, like, yeah, just they have. You showed me Snapcaster Mage. I gotta play it. I gotta play it. We're gonna keep this. If I find a blue spell, it's even better. Sure. A little. This sucks, but I'm gonna have to play around the days. By doing this, I think just getting a threat out is important, but I'll play around the days. Pass. Even though I only created a 1 threat, it's fine. It's fine. Sure. Sure. Flooded Strand comes in to grab white, maybe. We brainstorm flipping it now. And then like +1. Yeah, brainstorm flip. It's kind of what I was thinking. Like, do I save? Now that Tameo's flipped, it's like hella dangerous, but oh well. Yeah, Emissary gets a lot weaker into this, but oh well. It's not forever. Tameo isn't forever. This card's getting banned. This card's getting banned. Like I'm telling you right now, this card's getting banned. Like it's not. This card is not long for this world. Let's play this. Okay. Yup. We will play the Emery. Yup. Ooh. Okay. We'll pass it doesn't do anything. Yeah, the card doesn't do anything, like, because they plussed. So they can minus. Fortunately, our Emery. They plus again. They really want to get to that -7 mode, which makes sense. Problem is, once they have this flipped, like, it's tough. It's really tough. Yep. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Scalding Tarn. Okay. Yeah. Island. 3 mana. Opponent. What are we doing? Got a bunch of dress down, right? End step. So yeah. That makes sense. Okay. Fair. Yo, it's funny because I can like hard cast a thing here. Okay. I can hard cast a force if I want to, which is kind of funny. Could just name Swords to Plowshares off the Disruptor Flute. But let's see. Do you plus on the Tamiyo? Sure, I will respond to that then. I shall respond to that. You can get your Brainstorm, but I will name Brainstorm. I will name Brainstorm then. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Cast your 4 mana Brainstorm. Or your 3 mana Brainstorm. Do it. Do it. Sure. You should have the Lotus Petals, so it's kind of nice. Let's tap cast Pinnacle Emissary. Cast that to actually undo. Bang, bang, and then blue. Cast Mishra's Bauble. Yep, might as well. Go to combat, attack. The Tamiyo in the air. Okay. Go back to ours. Is it? Wait. Yeah, no. So let's see what they draw here. Draw an island. Good. Sure. Okay. At least like drawing cards is like hard for them, which is important. An opponent just concedes it anyway because our board's too big. I mean, like, all right. I feel like they could have grinded us out on this, but just goes to show you, you know, like you can just get some value. You can just get some value off of Pinnacle Emissary. Like this card is just giving you continuous threats. And okay, I guess opponent just left the game like super early there, but like, all right. Regardless, powerful deck. It does a lot of things. You have the Forcible Protection. Corey Steele obviously did a lot there, but just the threat of everything else is so powerful. Pinnacle Emissary, really just this insane value engine, as we can see. But regardless, whew, what do you think about Affinity?